Hello and welcome on the YouTube channel of FOTOGRAFIT. Today, Micha and I, we decided to do a spontaneous video about the EOS R5, about the housing, because we both have it. And yeah, we just thought to use the opportunity as we dive together to have a bit of a conversation about what we have been using the camera in the last days.
Yeah, and we are located at the Lake Constance in Meersburg. Dive site is calling Krebsgarten, and it's a very easy place to dive and of course to test new cameras and new housings.
Yeah, and so I think the most interesting part would be what is different to previous housings and what we have experienced now with the new R5. What's the difference really? And I think we both can agree that the most impressive thing for both of us was probably the autofocus.
The autofocus, yeah, of course. Yeah. Before I have dived 5D, Canon 5D,
yeah,
with Nauticam housing also, and the autofocus is much more impressive.
Yeah.
Especially at macro, when I'm using the SMC1 or SMC2. With the 5D I can't do it with autofocus, and now it's easy to do.
Yeah. For me, the first dive with the R5 was with the, an old 28-70 Canon lens. I got it off eBay for I think 60 euros, and I'm using it with the WACP, and it was amazing because the autofocus is really slow on that lens, but in combination with the WACP, it picked up the face of Sarah, and it was tracking the face through a tree, and I was really impressed that you can use this old lens and still get such a
cool. And it's not only working with people, especially with fish, like here in the sea we have pikes, and it's no problem for the autofocus. It's fixing the eyes of the pike, and you can do it at the day or in the night, it's equal. Autofocus is fixing the eyes.
At night you use a focus light? Or?
Yeah, I use a focus light, but it's very dimmed.
Okay.
I think 10% or less.
Yeah, so I think the autofocus is the number one that impressed me the most, and after that for me was really the image quality.
Yeah, of course.
So the 8K RAW that I shot, but also the 4K HQ, and all the other frame rates, especially the high ISO. Yesterday we did some night dives, or dives here during the day, which turn into night dives because it's so dark in Lake Constance if you go a bit deeper. And I was shooting at ISO 6400, and when I looked at the files last night I was impressed, like how clean the image is in the 4K HQ mode. So yeah, what would you say about the image quality? What have you noticed?
It's the same, the picture that I shoot from Sarah and you.
Yeah.
I have underexposed because Nico told it's very dark, and I have the problem too, but with the dynamic range I can put in Lightroom 4.5 stops.
Oh, okay.
The picture was brightened up, and I think you don't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they look really good.
Yeah.
They look really good. Yeah, so except the image quality, I think for people, because I usually shoot with the C200 housing, so for me the handling is also different for cinema cameras, but I was really impressed with the combination, the WACP, how well it handles, and that's something maybe, because I also have the same dome as
the acryl dome.
The acryl dome.
8.5.
8.5, so for all the people that film, I would really recommend to try to balance the acryl dome out, because it was quite front heavy.
Yeah. It's a little bit a problem with the combination of the 15-35 lens of Canon. It's pulled up a little bit, so I have to try how I can put it down. I think the glass dome or the WACP was the best option to do this.
Which brings us to another point that we could talk about, is the lenses. Because everyone who already owns Canon glass, well, they're in luck, because you can really put any glass now on the R5.
Yeah, any glasses, especially the EFS glasses. You can't do with the 5D before. No, with the R5 you can do it. It's very cool.
And you told me because this is interesting, for example, for the 60mm macro.
Yeah, exactly. Because the working distance with the 60mm macro is not so far like with the 100mm, so it's especially for black water diving or something else.
Which of course gives you a crop, but I mean with the 45 megapixel camera, it's you still end up with I think 20 something.
20 around. Yeah. I do some test shots in the pool before with crop modus, and it's cool. You can use these files.
Yeah. Something I should add for the video part: if you crop in video, you still have more than enough pixels to get an oversampled 5.1K image. So this is also a cool option if you want to get in closer with the macro shot, for example, or if you don't take a zoom lens, you take, for example, the 28mm with the WACP, which I'm planning on using, and I don't want to be such wide angle-ish, and I want to crop in. I can do it without any loss of quality, and I can program it to one of the C programs, so it's done within a second, and I have a different focal length, so that's really cool feature as well.
And of course we have a huge upgrade from the 5D to the R5, because we have now 3 wheels on the camera. You can set it by yourself, so you can put the ISO, the aperture, or the time on each control ring you like.
And what's also nice is if you change your lens, for example, which all Nauticam housings have, you can reset the vacuum from the front, so you don't need to take the back off. But what's also nice is that you can have either the RF lenses or the EF lenses with adapter released, so there are 2 buttons for the release of each lens, which is really nice.
It's very cool.
And you can of course use the adapters as well, and with a special ring you can also use the control ring on the adapter, for example.
The RF lenses.
On the RF. No, on the EF with the RF adapter. With the RF.
So
adapter.
you have 4 rings to use.
So
it's very tricky on the water.
Yeah.
Which ring I have to put to set anything else.
I think it takes a bit more time to use the full camera, because you need to get time to get into all your settings. And but once you're in it, you have a lot of options to use it. Yeah, so with the settings, I think the camera just offers way more customizable buttons than we are used to, and so it just takes more time to get into it. And another thing I want to mention before we get to the end is the in-body image stabilization. It is amazing, because also I noticed it underwater with this old lens that has it doesn't have any stabilization. I did get really smooth shots, and I feel it's a big benefit for filming. And I saw no jiggles, nothing weird, although using the wide angle conversion lens in front. So I'm really happy to see that this works out so far. And Micha also noticed it positively, not as much as I did though, I think. Alright, then I think we get ready, jump in the water, and we will just edit some of the clips on top of the video to get an impression. And if you want to know more, just or drop an email to FOTOGRAFIT about the housing or the camera or whatsoever. And let's see what the next videos are.
Okay, see you.
Bye.